I was sitting by the window, watching the snow. My phone buzzed. It was a message for my daughter. "Dad, don't plan on coming for Christmas. He says it's better if you skip this year." She meant her husband. Her words were cold. Not even a sorry. For a second, I just stared at the screen. All those years of driving her to school, of fixing her first car, of paying every bill. None of it seemed to matter now. I typed back, "Understood." No questions. No arguments. I sat in my quiet house, listening to the heater click on. There was a stack of mortgage bills on my desk, the ones I paid every month so their family could live safe and warm. She never asked for help. I just did it. That's what dads do. I looked at the numbers, then at her message again. I picked up the phone, called the bank, and stopped the payment. Simple as that. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like a father. I felt like a wallet they didn't need anymore. Have you ever realized your place in someone's life only when they told you not to come? I didn't send another message, but I never forgot. The next morning, I woke up early. I made my own breakfast. Eggs too dry, toast a little burnt. The house felt emptier than before. Silence just sat with me, like an old coat I couldn't take off. Her message echoed in my mind. "Don't come for Christmas." I walked around the living room, looking at old things, her soccer trophy still on the shelf, that little snow globe from when she was 8, her handprints in plaster by the front door. I wondered if her husband even knew those stories, or if I was just a name they remembered when the bills came due. I tried to keep myself busy. I swept the porch, took the trash out, found the old box of Christmas lights in the garage. Every year, I'd hang those lights for her. Even when my back hurt, even when the cold made my hands numb. But now, I just stared at them. Then I put the box back. What was the point? All day, the phone stayed quiet. No calls. Not even a message. I thought about calling her, but I remembered her words, the way she made it so easy to shut me out. So, I went to the basement and sorted through boxes. I found her old drawings from kindergarten, birthday cards she made me. I kept a few, threw the rest away. That night, I sat by the window. Snow was falling under the streetlights. I wondered if she'd notice when the mortgage payment didn't go through. Would she care? Would she call? Is it possible to give someone your whole heart year after year and still end up forgotten at Christmas? That thought stayed with me in the quiet. For the first time, I realized just how much of myself I'd given, without ever asking for anything in return. The days after that message all blurred together. I tried to stick to my routine, read the newspaper, water the plants, fix small things in the house that never really needed fixing. But none of it felt right. Every corner of this place reminded me of my daughter. The hallway where she'd run and jump into my arms when she was a little girl. The kitchen table where we once shared burnt toast and laughed about it for hours. Even the old wooden mailbox by the driveway. She painted it sky blue when she was 15, said it made the house look happier. Now, it was just another thing I passed on my way out for the mail. I kept hoping I'd see her name on my phone, even just for a second. A text. A call. Something that said she was thinking about me. But days went by with nothing. On the third day, my phone rang. I saw her husband's name flash on the screen. Not hers, his. I let it ring, feeling a strange ache in my chest. When it stopped, it rang again. And again. By noon, there were 12 missed calls, all from him. Curiosity finally got to me. I played one of the voicemails. He sounded calm, almost businesslike. "Hey, we noticed the mortgage payment didn't go through. Everything okay on your end? Let us know. No, hi Dad. No, hope you're all right. Just a reminder, like I was a service they subscribed to, one that suddenly missed a payment." I sat with my phone in my hand, thinking about all those years I'd put them first. All those Christmases I made sure the heat stayed on, that the roof never leaked, that the fridge was always full. I'd always thought they'd remember, maybe even care. But now it seemed like I was only missed when the money stopped. I wondered, not for the first time, if I'd made a mistake giving so much and asking for nothing. Is it still love if your absence is only felt in unpaid bills? That afternoon, I went for a long walk around the block. The cold air made my eyes water, but I didn't mind. I watched neighbors decorating, children laughing, couples holding hands. And I realized sometimes being left out is quieter, but maybe it hurts less than pretending you belong. The sun set early that evening. I sat by the living room window, watching the lights turn on in houses across the street. Inside, the world felt smaller, like I was shrinking with the daylight. I ate dinner alone, a bowl of soup, a slice of bread. I used to cook for 2 or 3. Now it seemed silly to bother with a real meal. After dinner, I checked my phone. More missed calls, 15 now, all from her husband. No text from my daughter. Not even a single word. I listened to another voicemail. Hey, can you please get back to us about the mortgage? We're a little confused here. Still no dad. Still no warmth. Just a problem to be solved. I thought about calling back. Just once, to hear her voice. But I put the phone down. I kept hearing her message, "Don't come for Christmas." A simple sentence, but it was sharp. All I wanted was to feel like I belonged somewhere. But sometimes you have to accept the truth, even when it stings. I looked around the house, noticed how many things I still kept for her. The stack of board games in the closet, her favorite mug in the cupboard, the extra blanket she loved in winter. I wondered if she remembered any of it, or if she'd already built a new life, with no space for me in it. Later that night, I sat outside on the steps. The snow was falling steady, dusting everything in white. I watched my breath fog in the cold. It made me think about all the things I never said, how proud I was, how much I missed her, how being her father was the best part of my life. But some things can't be fixed with a phone call or a payment. Is it possible for a heart to grow quiet after years of giving everything it had? I went back inside and turned off the lights. The house was still, but for the first time in a long time, I wasn't waiting for anyone to walk through the door. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight streaming through the window. It was Christmas Eve. In years past, this day would be full of noise, wrapping paper on the floor, the oven warming the house, my daughter's laughter bouncing down the hallway. This year, there was only silence. I made coffee and stood in the kitchen, staring at the phone on the counter. 20 missed calls now, all from her husband. Not a single message from my daughter. Not a single Merry Christmas, Dad. I poured my coffee and sat at the table. My eyes landed on a stack of unopened envelopes, holiday cards from old friends, neighbors, even the church I used to attend. I opened a few. Most were filled with kind words, warm wishes, little reminders that someone, somewhere, still thought of me. For a moment, it made the house feel less empty. By noon, the phone rang again. This time, I let it go to voicemail without a second thought. I listened. Hey, we really need to talk about the mortgage. Can you please call us back? We don't know what's going on. His tone was sharper now, a little more urgent. Still no mention of me as family, just a missing payment to fix. I set the phone down and looked out the window. A group of kids were building a snowman across the street. Their parents laughed and called out suggestions. I remembered when my daughter and I used to do the same thing, how she'd insist on a crooked hat and the biggest scarf. I thought about those old days and wondered if she ever looked back, even once. Or if she'd moved so far ahead that those memories meant nothing now. I spent the rest of the afternoon cleaning out a closet I hadn't touched in years. I found her old winter coat, the one she wore every Christmas morning, pink with white fur around the hood. I ran my hand over the soft fabric, thinking about how small she was the last time she wore it. Is it foolish to hold on to things that only remind you of what you've lost? I folded the coat and placed it in a box with the rest of her childhood things. Some memories, I realized, are too heavy to carry alone. That evening, I decided to do something I hadn't done in years. I took out a notebook and wrote my daughter a letter. Not a text, not an email, just a simple letter, the way people used to do when words meant more. I started with her name, then paused. The house was so quiet I could hear the clock ticking in the hallway. I wrote about the first Christmas we spent in this house, how she couldn't sleep from excitement, how she woke me up at 5 in the morning to see what Santa brought. I told her about the little things, her favorite cookies, the way she'd sing along to the radio, the snow angels we made in the yard until our fingers were red and frozen. I didn't mention the mortgage. I didn't mention her husband's calls. I just wrote about love and memories, and how proud I'd always been to be your father. By the time I finished, my hands were shaking. I sealed the letter and left it on the kitchen counter, not sure if I'd ever send it. The phone rang again. Another missed call from her husband. I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled out boxes from the attic, old photo albums, scrapbooks, little bits and pieces from a life that felt like it belonged to someone else now. I flipped through pictures of birthday parties, vacations, lost teeth, and snow days. So much laughter in those pages. So many promises I thought would last forever. I wondered if she ever looked through her own albums, if she ever showed her husband or talked about those Christmas mornings. Sometimes I think people outgrow the people who love them most. Maybe that's just the way life goes. But it still hurts. Can you ever really stop loving your child, even when they've left you behind? I sat in the quiet, holding the letter, feeling every year I'd spent trying to be the best dad I could be. And in that moment, I realized letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It just means loving someone enough to wish them well, even from far away. Christmas morning came with gray skies and heavy snow. The world outside looked soft and untouched, like a clean slate. I sat in my chair by the window, coffee in hand. The house quiet except for the sound of the heater clicking on and off. I checked my phone out of habit. More missed calls, now over 20. All from her husband. No message from my daughter, not even a simple Merry Christmas. I put the phone face down on the table. This time, I didn't wait for it to ring. I opened the box with her old coat and childhood things, just to touch them one more time. I thought about that little girl in pink, running to the tree, squealing with delight. The memory felt like a different life. I tried to fill the day. I made myself a proper breakfast, watched an old Christmas movie, sorted through papers I'd ignored for years. I called an old friend just to say hello. He asked if I had any family coming by. I paused for a second, then just said, "Not this year." He didn't ask why. Maybe he understood. Maybe he'd been there too. In the afternoon, I bundled up and walked to the mailbox. The street was quiet. Houses on both sides glowed with lights and laughter, the smell of wood smoke drifting through the air. I stood for a while, just looking at my own front door, wondering how it ever got this lonely. Back inside, I saw her letter still on the counter. I picked it up, read it one last time, and then slipped it into an envelope. I wrote her address in careful letters, added a stamp, and set it by the door. That night, as I lay in bed, I wondered what she'd feel when she read it, if she'd even open it, or if it would just get tossed aside with the bills. Is there ever a way back for a parent and child, after too much silence and too many things left unsaid? I closed my eyes and listened to the wind outside. Sometimes the hardest thing in the world is learning when to hold on and when to let go. The morning after Christmas, I woke to silence. No messages, no ringing phone. For once, it didn't feel empty. I made coffee and sat by the window, watching the streets slowly come to life. Families bundled up, scraping ice off windshields, kids chasing each other in the snow. My letter to her sat by the door, ready to send. I looked at it for a long time. I thought about all the words I'd written, all the feelings I'd poured onto those pages. Maybe she'd read it, maybe not. But I'd said what mattered. By midday, the phone buzzed again. A text, not from her, but from her husband. "Can you please call us? We really need to talk about the mortgage." No mention of Christmas, no question about me, not even a hello. I set the phone down and looked around the house, the walls that held every memory, the shelves full of old photos, the quiet corners where laughter used to echo. I realized something had changed inside me. For years, I thought my place in their lives was something I had to earn, to pay for, to keep proving. But sometimes, walking away is the kindest thing you can do, for yourself, and maybe even for them. I grabbed my coat and stepped outside. The air was cold, but it woke me up. I dropped the letter in the mailbox, not to get her back, not to fix anything, but to give myself permission to move on. I took a long walk through the snowy streets, nodding to neighbors, smiling at children I once watched grow up. The world kept moving, and so did I. Maybe one day she'll call. Maybe she'll remember those Christmas mornings, the way I always showed up, even when no one asked me to. But for now, I found peace in the quiet. Sometimes, the bravest thing a father can do is let go, with love, and without regret.